Thank you for being here. I'm going to try to actually get my video to work. Let me see. Can y'all see me? Hi.
Hey,
And Elizabeth, thank you for being here. Logan, thank you for joining us. You've got an important part of our meeting tonight. Jack, thank you again for that great job on the flyer that was distributed yesterday at La Firme. And let's hope we get some candidates. So far, nobody has filed, I can tell you that, but we've got time and we
no
will
rush.
continue.
Well,
I wanted to follow up, Jack, on one thing you said, that sort of nudge a neighbor theme that you suggested and that we've adopted and used and referred to several times. I heard from three different neighbors today that they, in fact, took us at our word and were nudging neighbors. So let's hope that produces some candidates because people at least are responding to that. And that in itself is good community involvement. The people saw that as something they could do and they're doing it. So bravissimo.
Well, I
Um,
think success will depend on
Which
candidates. And so
candidates,
far,
right,
no
right.
success.
Yeah. We've done a couple new things this cycle. One is the nudge a neighbors theme. Another is the text message that went out last Monday, and Michael reported today that he got 20 responses to that.
Nice.
And Logan will be briefing us on that part in a bit. And I think that it's an interesting. I'm proud of how creative we've been, that we've actually been trying these new things and not just doing the same old, same old. So, yay, team. Let's go right to the agenda. And
yeah,
we
yeah.
have a welcome to everybody, especially a welcome to you, Logan. You've been doing a superb job. Keep it up. And we'll get to that later on the agenda. Administrative items number one is approve the minutes from the February committee meeting. Elizabeth, thank you again for your faithful work on those minutes.
You're
Is
welcome.
I have one correction in the minutes. I left out the O in the word communication. Um,
Oh,
and if does anyone have any other changes in the minutes? Can we have a
No,
motion to
I didn't
approve
see
the
it.
minutes with
Here.
that typo corrected?
I move that we approve the minutes.
Second.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
I
Jack?
Oh, am I muted?
Yeah, you're voting on approving the minutes.
I said, am I muted? Oh, I said I.
Okay, good. All right. Minutes are approved. Um, reviewing the next steps for the election work. The next big item we have is in their action items, which is when the presumably candidate nominations come in on March 21st. In the meantime, our next steps will be to continue to publicize the March 21st filing date. We may want to, and I think we should probably actually vote on it tonight, put out a standalone notice 10 days before that. So it'd be like March 11th, which is, if I'm looking at my calendar, that's a Wednesday. Um, and say, hi, it's 10 days out from the filing date. We still have no candidates. People step up. So that would be the next step. We'll be putting stuff in the Friday wrap-ups, short pieces, like we're in last Friday's wrap-up. But boy, let's see who shows up. Is there an agreement that we would do a standalone announcement 10 days out?
Yeah, sure.
Any
Sure.
opposed? Okay, that's
oh,
approved. I don't think we need to vote on that, just have a consensus. Okay. Any other questions about the next steps on the election work?
Marty, I have a question. The three vacancies are for which positions? Is
Arthur's
it
position, Susan Faddick's position, and Jeff Blander's position.
okay?
Jeff Blander did call me about a month ago to say that he was thinking about running again, but he didn't make a commitment. At the
Mhm.
last council meeting, I asked, in general, the incumbents to let people know publicly whether or not they intended to run again. I made the point that the record historically indicates that when council members say that the seat is open, if they don't want to run again, that we do tend to get a few more candidates when there's an open seat
Right.
available. But none of the incumbents to date have indicated one way or the other whether they plan to file or not. So
Mhm.
that's where we are.
Okay.
Well, we should certainly need to know that by the 10th when we put that final notice out.
Well,
Yeah,
they have to put their name in the hat, right? Just like
yes,
everybody else.
but
Right.
just like everybody else, but legally they don't have to do it till 6 p.m. on March 21st.
Right.
So,
Oh, okay.
we can't really compel them to tell people ahead of time. They may not decide ahead of time.
Uh-huh.
All we can do on the 11th, the 10-day out notice, is say that to date no one has filed, or to date one person has filed, or whatever the status is at that moment. So Arthur, if you would, as one of the incumbents, kindly consider what you would like to do here and let us know at some point. We will be grateful.
Right, we have big discussions going on.
Okay, feel free. I mean, it's your call, your decision. Um, any other questions or comments about our next steps for the month of March? Okay, we do have one follow-up on one of the council's decisions. Do you remember in the regs, we changed the return address on the ballot envelopes so that if the post office doesn't deliver them, as happened last year, we had 4 or 5 that were not delivered, that they would come back to the committee instead of going back to New Jersey, because, Electric didn't tell us last year that they had returned envelopes that the post office hadn't delivered. We only found out about that when we were doing the vote counting, which was pretty upsetting. Electech should have told us when those came back. So the regs now have been corrected to say that any returned mail returned by the post office comes to the committee. But those are live ballots, so they cannot come to the office, the village office, because the staff cannot have access to live ballots. So what we need to do is what we used to do back in the olden days, which is to rent a post office box and use that post office box as our committee return address. And we'll need to do that this month in order to prepare the ballot materials. So this, again, it is an administrative item, but we should probably have a consensus recorded that we will, in fact, go out and rent a post office box. I'll try to get one at the Chevy Chase post office right there on Connecticut Avenue. Any objections to that?
No.
Okay. All right. That's approved by consensus. All right. And that was it. The EC page of the website is looking much improved. Things are starting to get up there. And Mike Z, thank you for your work with Michael Silliman on that.
Wow.
The information is generally easier to find now. By far, it's the best it's been in years. So does anybody have anything on the committee page on the website?
No,
Okay.
I haven't looked at it. I'm sorry, but I will.
Yeah, and
Okay,
again,
I'll let you know.
it's a work in progress. We don't need to
Okay.
finalize that tonight, but I do think it's looking better, and I much appreciate that. Okay, no residents being present, we will proceed to the action items. Discussion of our actions to encourage more candidates to run. All right, so far we've done 2 newsletter articles, 3 articles and weekly wrap-ups. The standalone notice says, nominations are not open. And we've worded them all creatively. Each of them is somewhat different. We've got the Nudge Your Neighbor campaign going. We've got the flyer that we did at La Firme. And Michael kindly made 100 copies of that. And Andrew Cowders, I handed a stack to him and asked him to help distribute them to people who were at that La Firme event, and he did. And I also talked to Alexa today, and she said that she was nudging people and had called 10 people to say that she thought they would be good candidates and were they interested. And so far, no concrete results, but that she was making an effort too. So thank you to both of those council members. Arthur, I don't want to put you on a hot seat here, but if you have a chance to nudge a neighbor,
Right.
we hope you will do so as well.
I have a few nudges ongoing.
Thank you. That helps. We really do need candidates to have a healthy culture here. And I appreciate anything that anybody on the council does to help do that, because of course, our hands are tied. We can only put out these general announcements, and they've all been very friendly and very encouraging. I think they've been worded very nicely in many different variations. So I can't think of too many more ways to say it other than this is your village and step up is to help run it. So
Any other outcomes from yesterday, Marty? Like how many were left over of those flyers at the end? I mean, or any other personal contacts that were made by anybody? I know we're not supposed to do it, but
I think people were talking about it a little bit from what I could see. But I don't know how many flyers were left over. I did ask Michael Silliman to collect them and
Mhm.
said that we may be able to use them. I mean, we could certainly, tack one to somebody's door if we wanted to, or
Mhm.
have a council member tack one to somebody's door. I'm sure Alexa would do that. Arthur, you would probably do that too. But anyway, Michael saved the leftovers, so I'll know tomorrow when I talk to him how many leftovers
Okay.
we have.
Mhm.
Okay, anything
Can
else?
can you grab one and get it to me? I couldn't print out the way I wanted to see it, the actual flyer, and I wasn't there late enough to grab a flyer at La Firme. So I'm putting that stuff together in that little list of things that we put out.
Absolutely.
And I just don't
Absolutely.
have a real good copy of that.
Okay, I'll get you a good copy of that,
Okay.
and will do. I'm putting a note here to myself. Mike Z flyer. I also sent Jack a copy. He asked for last year's flyer, and this year's flyer was a whole lot better. So thank you for everybody who weighed in on that, Jack, especially for the ace design work on that. It looked very classy and nicely done.
Thanks.
Hmm. So we're doing everything that I think we can think of to encourage more candidates to run, and I think the Nudge a Neighbor will, I hope, produce some candidates. And that's about all I have on that, but we certainly have done a lot of actions this year. So, let's see what happens. Um,
Okay.
It is a tough time for all the villages. I've talked to some of our compatriots in other villages, and a lot of election committees are having trouble getting people to run just because the national situation is so disrupted and people are so concerned about losing jobs and everything else. It's a tough time for villages around the area, around the whole DC area, as far as I could tell. So it's not just Martin's Additions. Okay, let's go to number two. Logan, this is your chance to shine and be a star. Thank you for all the work with the phone calls. How many people did you end up calling?
I'm not sure. Probably like 100 or 90 maybe in
I
total,
was,
but
I
it
think at
was
least
good.
93 by sort of my count of who needed to be called.
Yeah, I'm not sure because some people were in the same house, but yeah, more or less like 80 to 100-ish. But yeah, it's good to see everybody. I definitely have a longer report for tonight. So first of all, I guess I just want to start with the A3 sheet. I know I sent that out earlier today, and I was just wondering if any of y'all had any questions about it. I know there were a lot of columns and like a lot of data in that. So
There are.
yeah.
I thought it looked very thorough, and I had a few additions from um, either the notes, the addresses that I had said I would check, and I got some updates for you there. Were you able to include the responses that Mike Silliman got from the 20 people on the texting?
Yeah, so I was able to add, I think, one person from that, one college student, and then I think there were a couple other people, but pretty much everyone that responded to the SMS I had already called and confirmed things with. But
Mhm.
yeah, so we were able to get at least one person from that, so that was good. Um, yeah, but then yeah, in terms of the sheet,
Well,
I have another version that I'm working on and still updating it and everything. So I'll continue updating people.
well,
Um,
let me
and
give you a
then
couple of updates right now before you proceed with your report.
yes, please. Yeah.
Okay, you'd asked, I had said I would look at 7201 Chestnut, which
Yep.
is Megan and we believe Steve, and I did send them an email. They haven't gotten back
Hmm.
to me yet. So I
Okay.
followed up on that. For the 4620 North Park Avenue folks,
Okay.
that's the Cisna family. I sent them an email. They have not responded yet.
Okay.
7205 Summit, that's Josh Bowers and Jennifer Silberman. And
Uh-huh.
Josh got back to me and said that he is the sole voter there, that Jennifer is still voting over in Virginia, where she's
Okay.
living,
Josh Bowers. Okay,
Josh
great.
Bowers, and that the two kids are voting where they go to school. So
Okay.
it's just him at 7215. Josh Bowers is confirmed and is the only voter there.
Okay.
Okay. 7211 Chestnut. I spoke with Greg Antoine, and there are no voters at that house. He's up in
Hmm.
Boston now, and he is still the owner, but he's voting up in Massachusetts. And the kids that were living there are now running the farm out in Oregon and are voting in Oregon. So that's confirmed. No voters at that house.
Awesome. Okay.
For
I think I have
3505 Cummings, 3406 Raymond, and 6702 Melville, I don't have any contact information either. So what
mhm.
I'm going to ask you to do on those three is go back to Michael tomorrow
Mhm.
and see if Michael Silliman has any more information on those addresses.
Sorry, would you just list those again real quickly?
Yeah, 3505 Cummings,
Okay.
3406 Raymond, and
Mhm.
6702 Melville.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I'll go, I'll talk to Michael about those tomorrow.
That's great.
All right. So from all the calling people and everything, so far we have 633 confirmed voters, and
Mhm.
we've done 199 removals of duplicates and other people. And then, so there were a lot of people when I was doing the calls and stuff. There was like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we added 9 people that weren't on the office list or the voter roll from last year. Would you like
Good.
me to name them or?
Yeah.
Okay. So we had a Constanza Schmidt Road at 6701 Brookville, James R. Joyce at 7203 Chestnut, Ali Abbas Zaidi at 3519 Cummings, Sarah Asghari at 3519 Raymond, Adeline Shannon at 3525 Raymond, Alexandra Joyce at 7203 Summit, uh, Faradus Jamali at 3512 Taylor, Cornelia Powers at 3500 Turner, and then Natalie Weiss at 3219. And she was the one added from SMS, actually.
Excellent.
Okay, and then I have a list of oddities. So there is a house that is showing up as empty. That is 6607 Brookville Road. It's a little weird because it's not, that address doesn't show up on Maryland or Montgomery County property tax records or Zillow, but it shows up on the official village map. It shows up on Google, and it's listed as vacant by Michael. But I was just hoping, I don't know, maybe one of you guys could go and just knock on the door and see what the deal is. If anyone lives there, it looks like no one does, but and it seems really weird. I can't find like much information on it online.
Let me
35.
pause you for a second there.
Yeah.
Jack, you want to take a walk with the kids and walk over to Brookville Road? I'm teasing you. You don't have to do it, but who would like to walk over to? What was the address again?
It was 6607 Brookville Road, towards the south.
Who would like to take a walk?
Alexa, hands up.
Alexa.
Is that, I wonder if something, it's possible that it's a rental house or something?
It could be, or it could be vacant, or it could be under construction. I was going to try
Right.
to get by there yesterday, and I just didn't have time. I just ran out of time.
6607.
6607.
6607.
I'm not going to be there tomorrow. I don't know how urgent it is. I might be able to do it on Wednesday.
Okay, Wednesday will do. Alexa, you want to try to do that?
Walk it tomorrow.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you, Alexa. Try.
I can walk there. I can check it out tomorrow.
That'd be great, Alexa.
Yeah,
We accept your kind offer and thank you.
You're welcome.
6607.
my
Thank you.
pleasure.
Awesome. Well,
Okay.
thank you, Alexa. And then, so moving on, I have a list of houses that need to get letters, I guess. That just, so I've reached out to everybody twice, or everyone who hasn't gotten back to me yet, twice by phone and email. And I have 9 people who haven't gotten back to me. So one of them is 7209 Chestnut, and this is to confirm the last name of Lily as Hubshahar or Hubshman Shahar. It just is showing up as different things. Then there's 7222 Delfield to confirm that Teddy Casa lives there, and also which last name Jessica uses, if it's Young or Casa. Then, and if you guys want to stop me,
Yeah.
feel free.
I'll follow up with Lily Shahar.
Okay. I guess the note taker is doing its job too. So 6702 Melville to confirm that Christopher McClinton is the only resident and lives there. There was no contact information for Christopher McClinton. So does anybody know him personally?
Mhm.
No.
Okay. Well, I don't know. He was listed. And then that one's empty. Oh, actually, okay, so 8. And then 7204 Summit to confirm the first name as Anne or Annie. And if she's the only voting resident of that household, her voicemail says Annie, and she's showing up as Anne versus Annie. But just to confirm which one she'd like to use. 7306 Summit to confirm if Megumi wants to be on the voter roll this year. I know Marty and I talked, and apparently she didn't want to be on the voter roll last year, so I'm not sure if she's changed her mind or not.
You've reached out
Then
twice to all these people, right?
yes, yeah, and
Okay.
I've mainly left voicemails. Mhm.
People have a choice to be on the voter roll?
Yes, someone can decline to be on the voter roll. It's unusual. Most people really want to exercise their right to vote, or at least have it to be able to exercise it. But yes, Megumi last year said that she did not want to be listed on the voter roll. For whatever reasons, I did not press. I just said, okay, that's your decision.
Strange, okay.
Yeah. And then so 3405 Thornapple to confirm Christine Hardman as the only voting resident. I was able to reach her on the phone, but she was in a meeting and couldn't talk. So when I tried to follow up, she didn't get back to me yet. I think she's a new resident. And then let's see, 3408 Thornapple to confirm the voting residents of that household, and then 3402 Turner to confirm Renee's spelling as Renee, like Renee with IE, or Renee, well, sorry, I'll just spell that REENIE or RENEE, and then confirming Anthony and Tony as the same person. So I'll send all this in the email following the meeting as well.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, so those are the only people that didn't get back to me. So not too bad.
Well,
Can
well
we just
done. Well
can we
done.
just confirm the big
Yeah,
numbers?
nice
You said
job.
there were 633 confirmed voters. Is that
Yes.
correct?
Right.
Okay, and then there were, you added 9 new people that were
Mhm.
neither on the voter roll nor on the village directory.
Yes,
then
and
this
that's
last-
part of the
Yeah.
It's part of the 633, that number.
Oh, that's not additional. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, they are included in the, in the 6.
Mhm.
All right, and then the last thing was these individuals that you said may need letters, these
Mhm.
9 or so outliers, which the ones you just went through. 9 houses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
actually
the
I
idea
had
there
one
is
wrong.
that we're going to try again, or we're going to simply, it wasn't real clear to me what the action is on those
Okay,
remainder.
two things. We as a committee could ask Logan to call them again tomorrow or email them again tomorrow. Give it one more try before we send a letter. And I guess that's what I would tend to do, but it's up to the committee. I
Because
talked to
the letter
Michael.
is the one that says we've not been able to contact you and therefore we're removing your name from the list.
Therefore, we may remove your name. Please get in
Yeah.
touch by date X. The letter
Mhm.
from last year was in this packet for this committee meeting, and we'll get to that in a moment. But obviously, the more we can confirm without having to send the letter, that eases the workload for the staff, because the staff has to print and stuff the envelopes.
Yeah.
Last year, we had 83 letters that we had to send, that we couldn't confirm. And that was partly because we only had 40 hours to do it. And, Larry Watson and I basically made as many calls as we could, but didn't necessarily call everybody twice like Logan has been doing this year. Logan, you're doing a much, much better job here. And we're very happy to have you doing it. So, the fact that it's like, under 20 letters to be sent is really a good thing. That's a very good outcome.
Yeah.
And that tells me that
Some of them seem, they're just kind of obvious, like probably spelling errors, like Renee or Renee, depending on Renee with 2 E's or
Mhm.
1 E
Yeah.
or 2 N's.
That's
Or-
why I think
or-
we ought to have Logan do
Or the
another round of
Annie or the
calls.
Ann, right? Her
Yeah,
husband.
exactly,
So they're-
exactly. And the difference between like Catherine and Kate,
Right.
in some cases, and where Logan has been able to determine that Catherine and Kate are the same person, he needs to, which name do we use officially? And so Logan, I think that unless somebody on the committee really wants to do letters. I think we give Logan another day to try to reach these people.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Sure.
Do they have emails if they're not answering the phone? Is that a possibility?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Logan, you've been emailing them
I,
too, right?
Been
I've
emailing.
called twice and emailed twice for most of these
Ah,
people. One thing
strange.
I will say is like in some like half of the cases with Renee is it's really frustrating is I can tell her email spells her name um Reenie. So I assume that's how it's spelled, but technically since like with the procedure I have to double check
Yeah.
with her. So I don't know, maybe like half of the people who potentially need letters can just kind of be in limbo and I can keep trying to get in contact with them.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
there's only, yeah.
I think we give you
Have
at
you
least another
texted?
24 hours. Go ahead, Jack.
Have you texted them?
No, I haven't texted them. That's a good idea.
I would do that. That's like the
Do that
way
first.
I find with our clients, it's
Mhm.
tough to get in contact by phone or email, but text is very effective.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll do that tomorrow. I'll send out the text.
That sounds great. All right, we have a
Okay.
plan.
Yeah,
That's what
another
I would do. I would just, if you've called and emailed twice, do you leave voicemails?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would just shoot them a text, give them
Hmm.
max 48 hours, and then if you don't hear back, I would
Then they get the
that's
letter.
the letter. Yeah.
Yeah. The letter is
Okay.
legally required if somebody's going to be potentially removed from the voter roll, we're required to give them notice. That's in the regs, and it follows the state and county procedures. So, but putting out a bunch of letters is time consuming, and it's a burden, labor intensive for the staff because they have to actually produce a letter. We write the letter, but they have to actually run it and stuff the envelopes. So, I did offer to go in and help stuff envelopes this week, but those letters need to go out this week. I mean, preferably by Wednesday, because of the time
Well,
constraints. So they need to have 21 days to respond to the letter, and we still need to make our basically end of March deadline for the voter roll to have it ready to go to the contractor to start preparing the ballot packets. So this is a train,
but
you got train
Marty,
station.
I
Yeah.
think it would be Jack was suggesting that he give him 48 hours to get back rather
Mhm.
than 24.
Yeah, I think we can do
Yeah?
that. I think that Thursday would be okay, not just Wednesday.
Okay.
Yeah. So Logan, are you clear? Do you have any questions about sort of next steps there?
No, yeah, I'll get those texts out tomorrow morning and I'll call them again as well.
That's great. So
Alexa.
continue. What
Oh,
else have you got in your report?
Alexa
So
has
I
her hand
just,
up.
oh yeah, Alexa.
Alexa, you can just talk.
to check. I just have a quick question. Everyone who we don't have exact information. For instance, with the Renee person, would you necessarily send out a letter because you don't know the perfect spelling of her name?
Technically, yes, we would have to because we have to have the name correct legally. I mean, a voter roll is a legal document, and we can use the version of the name that it's on the county voter roll. If Renee or Rennie or Renee is on the county voter roll, we could use that version of her name. That's an official version of her name.
Yeah,
But yeah, I mean, it's not always clear whether it's the same person or not. And
okay.
and again, we want people to make sure that they have the opportunity to um, help us get it right. So yeah, it's much better. That's why we do the whole round of calling in the first place because we don't want to have to send letters over stuff like that.
Right. Particularly if it's like about a name change, but I can understand making it treat everybody the same in that part.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So
And
what's
we
the
do write
remedy?
those regs. Go ahead,
What's
Mike.
the remedy for someone we're not sure about their name? You don't send them a letter saying we're taking you off the roll, do you?
Oh, that's what we're saying is that, yes, they do.
That
Yes.
Or we're going to
they
use
get a
this
letter
name.
saying get back to us because we don't want to take you off the roll. We want to include you on the voter roll. We don't want to remove you. But we don't have an official name for you. So please confirm your name so we can keep you on the voter roll. So yeah, a name glitch is not, in my opinion, reason to remove somebody from the voter roll.
I
I would,
agree.
but we do need to give them the letter that says to them officially, please, get
Well,
back to us so that we can keep you on the
yeah,
roll.
and the fact that I've already been contacted 4 times, so twice by
Right.
email and twice by phone message. But now we're going to try a fifth time, right?
With the
By
text,
SMS,
correct.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
it shows.
Yeah.
So that's in the message as well, after multiple attempts to contact you, right?
Mhm.
That kind of
Correct.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the draft letter is in our packet. We'll get to that in a minute. Okay.
Let's
Um,
go forward.
so I just have one more point I want to get to, I guess, and I think this is pretty important. And I just kind of discovered this yesterday or 2 days ago, and that is that we have at least two confirmed cases of children being on the voter roll from last year and on the list of residents for this year. So they were cleared to vote, and the only reason that I caught them, and this is an accident, I'm sure, but the only reason I caught that mistake is because they had another younger sibling who was showing up as a new resident. So we had like a 4-year-old, I think, on the voter
Yeah,
roll last
really.
year. So we had Claire Steinberg and Essie Braffman are both children that, yeah, showed up in white as like
Yeah.
cleared last year. So I assume they got a ballot last year. And yeah, so I'm not sure how exactly we want to go about fixing
What
this.
you're doing is exactly right.
Vote.
Those 4 kids are coming off the voter roll this year
Well,
because they're not eligible to vote.
Not only-
I think what happened last year is, we assumed last year, I can tell you exactly what happened. Last year's committee assumed that everybody on the village office list was at least 18 and voted to, include on the current, last year's 2025 voter roll, everybody that was on the office list, because our understanding was that that office list did not list kids under 18, and it turned out it did. So what we will do is follow up with Michael tomorrow, Michael Sullivan, and say, identify on the office list if you include minors, because minors don't get published in the directory, and minors certainly shouldn't be getting ballots. And so that's a matter of cleaning up the protocols for the office list so that we can in fact rely on the office list to be 18-year-olds and up. It makes sense to everybody? Yeah.
Yeah.
But Logan, thank you for spotting that. I mean, that was a good find. Who knew,
yeah. Well, I think like moving forward, I'm planning on just using the county roll and checking that against more of the like final roll that we have here, and just seeing if anyone with the same last name stands out. But yeah, he's sorry for that it like came up kind of last minute.
No, it's good. Good. We want
Um,
accuracy. Well done. Well done.
yeah.
Um, I sent a nice note to the Brofmans saying that we would, be very happy to have the 2 kids, be on the voter roll as soon as they turn 18. But in the meantime, thanks for letting us know that they were not yet eligible to vote, and we looked forward to adding them when they were. So I sent them a nice email, just personally reaching out. So little follow up on that.
Yeah. I'm just worried about like whole families that were already white and like getting through,
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see. I'll check it, I guess. But
Yeah, check against the county. That's a good cross check.
mhm.
Any other questions or comments from anybody on the voter roll? Again, I do think that this process is being done very meticulously, and I commend you, Logan. Don't forget to send us your invoice for the last month.
Yep.
I have a comment, may I?
Yes, uh-huh.
For the whole committee, actually. Does it make sense that, and maybe Logan, this is already done,
Speak up a little bit if you would.
maybe Logan has done this, but I'm wondering if I think there were like originally 190 some errors in the voting roll, something like that.
Discrepancies, yeah.
Discrepancies, thank you. Did you or should you like identify different categories so we have a better sense of what kind of problems we are being presented with, or is that really not necessary? For instance, if some of the problems were about children being included in the role versus people who should have been, 18 years or older, or whatever the problems were, I'm thinking that if we identified those areas of discrepancy, then we would be possibly more aware of how to address that during the year rather than at the end of the year when you're trying to create the voter roll.
Exactly, exactly. It makes
Mhm.
perfect sense.
Or is that done already?
So I don't have, I guess, categories that I've sorted the removals into, but I do have next to each one, I have a reason why someone is being removed from the role.
Right, exactly.
And I'd say the most common one, or the most common two, are women's last names being legally different or potentially using a maiden name or a hyphenated name, and then just first names. We like the two kids, that's like 2 out of 199.
Right.
So that's pretty small. And then there are a couple other people whose are like children who are adults and moved away and are registered to vote elsewhere, and that's maybe 10 people. So the vast majority is just like name mess ups.
Mhm.
Right.
And of course, we have move in and move outs too.
Yes, that too. Yeah.
Yeah, which is a big category. You might break out, if you would, Logan, the move in, move outs, where it's actually a change of residence,
hmm
from the ones where there's a name question.
hmm
All right, give us those two categories if you could.
Okay.
And like I said, to solve the four kids problem, we'll talk to Michael Silliman tomorrow about the protocols for his work on the office list.
Yeah, I expect that might go back to the idea that the office directory was based on families, right? Giving people the opportunity to put the whole family in there because it was
Yeah.
was the purpose of the directory was more of a
Yeah, a directory is a community
exactly
convenience, right?
right. And I
The
don't
office.
ever recall any instruction that you could only put down the names of dependents that were 18 years old or
Yeah.
older, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that
that
might
was
be that might be, I don't know what he would say to that, but it might be,
well,
I don't
Michael and I
think.
did talk about that, Elizabeth,
Mhm.
oh yes, a month or two ago before we started this cycle.
Yeah,
And he said that he was aiming to make sure that the list had everybody 18 and up, but not
okay.
people under 18.
Oh, all
So
right.
that was his aim.
Mhm.
And we just need to polish that up a little bit, which is in
All
his
right.
bailiwick. But yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Originally it was families. You know, if you go back 10 years, the directory, it'll have things like the Jones family with one phone number back in the day.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I was also thinking that, it could also be part of Michael's protocol to be sure that the woman's last name is the legal one that we can use for the voting roll.
Correct. Correct. I mean, one of the discrepancies we have is Lori Mitchell versus Lori Zucco. Same person, Lori. Her husband's last name is Mitchell, and she goes by Lori Mitchell. And I know she's come to meetings, so you probably have met her, Alexa. Um,
Yeah,
but her
yeah,
actual legal name is Lori Zucco, and we know because we know her that that's one person. That's not two different people at that address. But again, voter rolls are legal documents. We need to be pretty careful. Mike, you got a comment on that, Mike Z?
Um, well, yeah, actually, but this is maybe something that we do down the road. I don't know. I'm harking back to obviously it's very important to try to get the most accurate voter roll we can, but as our learned counsel has advised, there's nothing wrong with sending a ballot to somebody who's not on the roll, who's not a registered voter. Uh, Now, those people have to certify, and there's a good place to get. Do we ask in their? I haven't looked at the stuff that we send out with the ballot and stuff like that when they certify. Do we ask them to actually certify and to give us their full legal name printed out when they sign too? That's
No.
another way to collect information and check backs. But
exactly.
No, we
yeah,
don't. We do the screening at this stage before we send out the ballot because with the mail vote ballot, basically if somebody has a ballot in hand, it's a live ballot, they can vote it under whatever name we sent it. So the screening comes before we send the ballots out. That was the problem in 2023 when the committee back in that year sent out 122 ballots to people who were not eligible voters, which can invalidate the entire election. when you have that many.
But what I'm saying, don't they have to certify off that they are a voter over the 18, edge of 18 and qualified to vote in the Martin's editions? They have to sign something?
They have to sign the back of the
Don't they
envelope,
have to
of the
print their
return
name
envelope.
too, with their official name? Their
No, they don't have to
legal
sign their
name?
official name. They
Well, why
can
don't we
print their
make them
name
do
however
that?
they want. And we don't have a signature match requirement because we simply are not, we don't
No,
have the capability
we
for
could
that.
have them print their name, their
We do
official
ask them to print
real
their
name.
name,
Okay,
but
so
the
it's
name
there.
they print
Oh,
varies. We don't make them print the name exactly as is on the voter roll because most people are
No,
not
no.
aware of how their name is on the voter roll. I mean, are you like,
Well, we sent it to them without any name, right?
yeah, we send them the
They
official
should
name that
know.
we have, from the
Okay,
voter roll. But the envelope that they return, that they sign, they have to certify that they are indeed an eligible voter, that they are
right,
that person.
right.
And they're told to print their name and they're told to sign their name. And so, yeah, I mean, you could go after somebody for perjury if they signed it wrong, but I would
Well,
never
it's
do that. I mean, that's
voter
not
fraud.
something that we have energy or willingness to do to our beloved neighbors. So, um,
Is it illegal?
having the voter roll be clean up front before we issue the ballots is really the safest way to have a clean election. Jack, were you gonna say something?
Isn't it illegal to vote if you're not a
Yep,
so like fraudulent?
violation of the law.
Yep, yep.
Yeah, so
But enforcing it is a whole nother thing.
True.
but I think if the trade-off is excluding someone who may be a real voter versus including someone who is cares and who's not part of the village but is going to submit a fraudulent vote, I to my vote would be to allow someone who might potentially be a real voter to stay on the roll.
yeah,
I would agree. I would agree. And that's what our process is set up to do. That's why we do these various levels of checks to give people every opportunity to tell us that they are, in fact, really residents. Even doing the outreach to people who are absentee owners.
Mhm.
And, that's some of the stuff I've been doing on the email today and over the weekend. So, yeah, we try to be inclusive. I mean, it's a principle of elections that all valid voters should be able to vote and that you don't ever remove somebody without due process, without giving them plenty of opportunity um, to stay on the voter roll if they so choose to. But our responsibility as a committee is to have a clean list and not send ballots to people who are not eligible because that sets up potential fraud. And that was a huge issue. In 2021, for example, the committee back in those years, none of us were on that committee, issued so many should we say, non-legitimate ballots that, I mean, nobody verified the voter roll that year, that some of the candidates said that the election was invalid back in 2021. And, the election ended up getting certified, but having a questionable voter roll is just a huge problem. And so we are meticulous and we are doing, I think, a really good job this year of really getting these procedures ironed out and figuring out how to make sure that everybody who's a valid voter does have the right to vote because that's certainly our default position. We don't exclude anybody without due process.
I don't have a lot of the materials that we're going to be running into down the road. For example, the ballots that we send out, or the sign off where people certify what that they're eligible and all that kind of stuff. I'd like to see that stuff, and I think I assume there's a warning in there that for submitting a vote if you're not qualified is illegal in Maryland, punishable by whatever.
No, it
And
actually does not include a fraud warning or a
well,
perjury
I
warning
I think
or
we should have one if we're
a threat
concerned
of
about
enforcement
fraudulent
warning.
voters.
I will send you the next two things I will send the committee, and Alexa as well, are the draft of the VMA election information packet that we have to put together right after March 21st. As soon as we have the candidates, we put together that info packet that gets mailed to each household.
Okay.
And the draft of the ballot packet. We have two packets coming up. The info packet, which has the candidate statements and the basic voting information, and then the ballot packet that Electech, the contractor, sends to the voters, which we also need to update and approve. And I will send you all those materials this week.
Red.
Okay.
So you'll see what that looks like. You'll see the ballot packet from Electech, or for Electech to send, includes the envelopes, and you'll see the
Yeah.
front and back of the envelopes. And
Yeah.
that's the little form, the standard, it's a standard affidavit used in the state of Maryland. We didn't come up with it. It's the simplest form. There have been court cases across the country where, like Pennsylvania, requires people to put a date on the back of the envelope. And if they
Mhm.
got the date wrong, there was a lawsuit by Republicans to disqualify anybody who didn't put the date in. Well, the date is irrelevant. If the ballot arrives in time to be counted, it should be counted, period. But, okay, we opted
That's
here in
your
Martin's Editions for the
rights
simplest
require it.
affidavit form on the back of that return envelope. And I take your point about, somewhere in this, at least in a weekly update or somewhere in the election information packet, the first packet that goes out with the candidate statements, we ought to say the legal warning that it is, illegal in the state of Maryland to cast a ballot if you are not the person eligible to do so.
Right. Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
Good points.
Move on.
Anybody else? Concerns, thoughts?
I just have one more quick thing about legal names. And from my understanding, with the procedure and everything, it has been okay for people to request being called Steve instead of Stephen, or for someone to say, I don't want to go by, I don't know, Jones Johnson. I want to go by Jones for my last name.
Hmm.
So that's the way I've been conducting it. Some people have preferred their nickname as
Hmm.
their official name for only for Martin's Editions voting, and some people have preferred their more like legal official name. Um,
And that's
that's
exactly right, Logan. What we need you to do in your notes on this A3 spreadsheet is say that you talked to the person and this was their choice so that we have documentation for the future. Um, like I don't mind getting my ballot to Marty Langland instead of Martha Jane. That's just fine by me. Um, but it needs to say on the voter roll that Martha Jane and Marty are the same person, right? And that's where your A3 annotation is so critical because that's our documentation. And you're doing exactly right. This is a small village. We try to be friendly. And if people want to be Steve instead of Stephen, you know, that's if they express that preference, we can honor that preference. But the voter roll needs to say that Stephen and Steve are the same person.
okay. Yeah, I have that in the comments and everything. I just
Yeah.
wanted to make sure everyone was aware of that.
Exactly right. Exactly right. Good point. Anything else you'd like to share with us? Are you having fun with this job?
Yeah, it's been great. That's pretty much everything I had. I'm worried about the children. I'm worried more children might show up tomorrow when I look, so hopefully not.
Hopefully not.
So,
And if so,
Um,
we can put a note in this Friday's wrap up saying if you got a ballot for one of your kids last year, your 6-year-old really can't vote, although we'd love to include them in a couple years. So we can
mhm.
put that in the Friday wrap up. Absolutely. It might be kind of funny to do it.
Not, yeah, not this week though. Give him a chance to go through.
Yes. First see what you
To
can find out
read it.
tomorrow.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
will
And
do.
and I'm really relieved that we don't have to send out 50 letters because you were able to confirm so many people. Logan, that is just really, really great. It cuts down that workload for the staff in terms of the production on the mailing. Anything
Well,
else from
great.
anybody? Okay, Logan, don't forget to send us your invoice. Thank you again. Okay, moving on to number 3. Committee process to accept candidate nominations on March 21st. This is spelled out actually in the regs. And what happens essentially is that people have till 6 p.m. on Saturday the 21st to get us 2 documents. One is their statement, the candidate statement, which can say whatever they want and be up to 1,000 words. And we don't edit that at all. If somebody's got a typo in it or it's ungrammatical, that's on them. Um, the other is the conflict of interest form to fill out, both of which we've had links to, the conflict of interest form and everything that we've posted so far. And if somebody does not submit one or the other of those forms, they have 24 hours to get them to us. All right, the regs provide for that. So we basically have work to do on the weekend of March 21st and 22nd. If something comes in by 6, there's a provision in the regs that says that they can send us an email up to 6:30. This half-hour grace period is fine. That's no big deal. If they're missing a document completely, we need to get back to them on the evening of the 21st, and say, we're missing your disclosure statement, or we got your disclosure statement, we didn't get your candidate statement. They have 24 hours, basically till Sunday night. to get that material to us. We then send them an email back from our committee email, our official VMA Elections Committee email, saying that we have, assuming everything is correct, that they've given us both documents. We give them an email back saying, thank you, we've accepted your paperwork. You are now a candidate. We can put you on the ballot. So we respond to them affirmatively. There was one year where we had one candidate who did send in both documents, but forgot to sign the COI form. And we just called that guy up right away and said, hey, you need to finish filling this out and sign this because we want to conclude you as a candidate and we can't till you give us the proper paperwork. The committee does not require that conflict of interest disclosure form. The ethics committee does. We are just required to collect it and make sure it's complete. So Saturday night, the 21st, if you can kind of be available by email, it's an administrative process. We don't need to have a separate meeting, but we do need to, as a committee, officially vote to accept the candidates to say that their paperwork is complete and is on time. Any questions about that?
Nope.
So book
So
a
that'll
little
be
time.
a,
That's
is that
Saturday
a
night.
Zoom meeting?
We could have a meeting. We don't need to have a meeting. It's an administrative process.
You mean
Okay, so you do it by email or what?
Yeah, we can do it by email because it's administrative.
Okay.
If we had somebody who'd already put their paperwork in, we could do it at this meeting, officially. But nobody's put in their nomination or their candidate statements yet, so we don't have any paperwork now. And the plan is to have, the candidates, get our email on Sunday, the 22nd, and say, hi, all your paperwork's in order. Congratulations, you're on the ballot. And then we, as a committee, have the statement ready to go Monday morning for Michael to put out saying the candidates for this year's election are ABC. Hopefully A, B, C, D, E, at least 3, maybe 4. So that's the plan, and that's coming up for us March 21st and 22nd. You will need to be available by email that evening, that Saturday evening, to just confirm that the paperwork is in order. Any questions on that process?
Nope.
Okay. And again, I'll send around the draft announcement of the candidates this week so that you have that in your hand ahead of time. All right. So once we have the nominations, we have 2 weeks from the candidate's filing date to put together the election info packet to mail to all the VMA households. The staff will do the actual production and mailing. The info packet from last year is what I'll send you this week, and you can take a look at it. It's pretty standardized at this point. It includes the candidate statements, and again, the candidate statements are not edited by us or by anybody else. They are printed as submitted. And so, any questions about that election info packet? Okay, that's an administrative process too. We need to approve the packet. But I'll give you the sample from last year. Next item is the postal tracking and preparation of the ballot packets. The ballot packets are what Electec mails out. And the postal tracking is a little tricky. Electec used to do postal tracking as part of its standard process, and it is required. The postal tracking is required by our regulations, has always been. But Electec stopped doing it, and the 2024 committee found out it wasn't being done, and of course it's a requirement. So Larry Watson found a letter track software, and Michael Silliman at the committee's request worked with Electec to make sure that Electec could use that tracking and put the postal tracking codes on the envelopes. And initially the regs had said that the postal tracking should be on the incoming envelopes to the village as well as the return envelopes from the voters. And one of the changes in this year's regs is that it really only needs to be on the return envelopes. The tracking process is a little bit complicated. I'm going to try to do a write-up on the mechanics of that, similar to the write-up on the voter roll verification mechanics, and run that by everybody. I've been the one doing that. It's a little complicated, but it is not impossible. It's just a little bit time-consuming to handle the postal tracking. But you will be getting a follow-up on that for our mechanics manual, because that is something that's not spelled out. The regs just say you have to have postal tracking on the ballot return envelopes now, and that's good. That's good. That's sensible. That's where you need it. You wouldn't want to certify an election if you didn't know whether or not there were 50 ballots sitting stuck in a post office somewhere. How can you certify the election? So that's why the postal tracking is important. It's especially important in the small elections in small towns where even 3 votes difference can make the difference of who
So
wins.
Each each envelope, return envelope is given a unique number, and that's
Correct.
stamped on the envelope by when the envelopes are printed or something. It
Yeah,
gets
the postal tracking code is printed on the envelope by Electek using this software, this LetterTrack software.
okay.
And then the notification from LetterTrack about where the envelopes, the return envelopes are in the process. For example, when an envelope is mailed from Martin's Editions, it typically goes through a local post office and then it goes to a sorting facility, sometimes in Hyattsville,
Oh,
sometimes in
so
Baltimore. Then it goes up to
it's
Philly, and then it goes
okay.
to New
So
Jersey.
it's like the U.S. Postal Service letter
Yeah.
monitoring tracking system, like that.
Exactly, exactly. It's just, software we have to buy because Electek stopped doing it. And it's in their contract that they're supposed to do it. And they just didn't. And the 2024 committee substituted this. We said you have to do it. And Electek wanted to charge us $4,000 to do it.
Mm.
And Larry Watson and I said no. And we ended up getting this LetterTrack for like $100, the software, to just do it. And then Michael and Electek worked together to make sure that Electek knew how to put the tracking on the envelopes. And now we've got it down to we only have the tracking on the return envelopes that come from the voters. So we can make sure that there aren't, you know, 50 envelopes sitting in the Philly postal sorting facility. Any questions about the letter tracking?
Nope.
It's another one of those mechanically somewhat complicated, but very doable and important, right? Because you can't certify an election if you don't know if you have all your ballots. Any questions about that? Thoughts? Okay. Um, and then last but not least, committee report for the March 19th council meeting. Basically, that's just an administrative report on we are taking care of all the following 14 things. Here's where we are. And I'll send a draft of that around, before the 19th so that y'all can edit and approve that. All right.
Okay.
All right. Anything else? Any other election issues that need attention? All right. We're down in the nitty-gritty here, guys, and you have been just terrific about um, getting back with quick turnaround on the notices that we need to get out and on all these documents that we need to do. This is really sort of the heart of the election process right now, completing the voter roll. At our next meeting in early April, we will have a vote to finalize the official voter roll and send it to Electek, right? Based on all the information that we get coming back from the letters that get sent out and further checking. And I think we're in good shape. We're right on schedule, and we have a really good, clean voter roll, I think, developing here. Thank you, Logan. And I'll send around the other paperwork for you to look over. It shouldn't be too much. I mean, again, we can put notices about encouraging candidates to run in this Friday's weekly wrap up and in the wrap up for let's see, we've got the 6th, the 13th, and the 20th. The candidates filing is the 21st. So we've got a couple more weekly wrap up pieces, which should be short. If you have any creative ideas that we can jump up and down and say, hey, neighbors, now is the time. Please be candidate. We've already got, I think, a lot of that out there, and we can keep doing it. We should keep doing it. One of my friends who does professional marketing and advertising says you need to tell people something 7 times before it sinks in. I personally find that somewhat insulting, but hey, maybe it's true.
Hey,
Have you heard that before?
I sure have.
makes sense. With everything else that people are dealing with,
Yeah, our attention spans are short.
very short.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I personally see that where I'm served an ad a bunch of times for something, and I'm finally like, you know what? That's been stewing, and now it's time.
So let's keep putting out the word saying we really want you. Candidates welcome, and keep asking people to nudge their neighbors because I do think that that's a promising new approach, and we got some positive feedback on it. In terms of positive feedback, I want to tell Logan that I also heard from a couple neighbors that you called, and Logan, they said that you were charming and clear and delightful to work with. Those are quotes. So kudos on that. I like passing along compliments. Anybody
you.
have any other issues?
I don't have an issue, I just have a comment
Sure.
that when Jack was suggesting that we rely more on text besides phone calls and email, because that's what people are using nowadays.
I think it's a great idea.
It's the quickest way to get information, and people are much more responsive to text.
Mm. And Logan, you'll be texting the people that we still need to check with tomorrow, right?
Yeah, hopefully that should get like half of them. I think the real problems are going to be the people who have no contact info, and then I remembered there's one house that the contact number is their mother's number. So that's all I have for them.
Yeah. Talk to
So,
Michael tomorrow about that.
mhm.
Yeah. Actually, email Michael tomorrow. He's not going to be in the office on Tuesday, but he will respond to emails. Okay, so email. Don't
Marty.
try to call.
Marty, could we just review the announcements, newsletter, whatever else in terms of, written things that are coming up, deadlines, that anything more needs to be done? It seems like we've sent many, many, many notices already. Are we?
Mhm. We've had a real burst of activity here.
Well,
And
you
again,
just-
you all have been terrific about quick
But I
turnaround.
mean, the reminders about the election, about
Yeah.
running for office. So we
Okay,
just did the March newsletter.
Right, we have the March newsletter. We did the February 27th weekly wrap up. So
Mhm.
we've got the March 6th, 13th, and 20th weekly wrap ups, and we'll put something in each of those.
Okay,
about,
but
you know,
are we
run
going
for-
to, could we ask the committee if who else might like to put their hand on one of those to come up with maybe a fresh turn of words, because I think
love it.
there's always a way to say the same thing a different way that, so people don't get too used to the same notice and throw it out, right?
Great. Would you like to write one?
No, I wasn't going to volunteer myself.
Okay, Jack, would you like to write one? Mike, Z, would you like to write one?
I don't know. No.
No,
It's just,
I think it's fine. It doesn't have to be
I'm
me
not as good with
drafting all this
chat.
stuff. I'm
Chat,
happy to have
chat could
somebody.
probably throw out 4 or 5 proposals, and we could
Yeah.
pick between them.
I'm sorry.
or
Could you,
maybe
could you-
it just
could you-
takes,
I missed that. Could you repeat the ask?
Would you like to draft the Friday weekly wrap up for March 6th, March 13th? Do you want to take a hand at drafting one?
If like a weekly wrap up from the election committee.
Yeah, the solicitation and
it's
asking people to
the-
run.
Insert in
it's
the
that same one that we've been recycling many times, Jack, but just to kind of, maybe change the order, throw out a couple of questions, something a little bit new to catch people's attention. And that before you say what you have to say in all of them, that this is what you need to do by such and such a date. That kind of, because the basic messages are on all of those weekly alerts, weekly wrap-ups, and on the monthly newsletter. But it's just kind of saying it in a different way, and you've shown great talent in being
Indeed,
able
I
to-
asked
creativity.
ChatGPT to show great talent.
See, that'll teach you. That'll teach you to be talented, Jack.
Right.
I can.
Take a hand at it. Give it a
When do
shot.
we
We should have that by
There-
Wednesday.
It's no
For this
more
Friday.
than it's just like 2 paragraphs, the basic
insert
thing.
in the Martin's Editions weekly wrap up, right?
Yeah.
Right.
I would
Yeah.
take a future. I would be happy to help with a future week. I'm at a conference the rest of this week.
All right, we'll give you the
Um,
13th assignment.
Cool.
All right, draft
I-
something for the 13th.
I
right?
accept.
I'll draft something for the 16th. And Elizabeth, I more than welcome any suggestions about how to, jazz it up a little
16th.
bit.
What's
Yeah.
on the 16th? Thought you said it was 13th.
Yeah,
Yeah, for the Friday 13th
he's going to
one.
do the 6th,
Michael
not
likes
the
to have stuff
16th.
by the Monday before, so that would be the 9th of March, is that we'd want to have
Wow.
the committee have the draft for the 13th weekly wrap up. I will do the draft for this Friday's wrap up, the 6th, as soon as possible, like
Uh-huh.
tomorrow if I can. And
So
get
there's
that to you
still
all.
one on the 20th, is what you're saying?
The one on the 20th is kind of
Well-
heavy duty because that's the final day before, that's the one that says, the filing date
Last
is
chance.
tomorrow. Yeah.
Last chance.
Last chance. And then the one on the 11th is the
What?
standalone one where we're saying we're 10 days out and we only have X candidates.
Right.
Oh.
So that's the
Standard.
one we agreed to earlier that we would add to. So it's not just the Friday wrap-ups, but there's one more standalone one that says, hey, 10 days, file now or forever hold your peace. Hopefully file now. All good people. This is the mechanics. This is how you run elections. This is how you make it work. And Jack, thank you for doing the one on the 13th. So get it to us the weekend before the 9th. We'll get it to Michael on the 9th, and Michael will be very happy. He likes having the weekly wrap-up stuff on the Monday.
Okay, so like
before
this
that.
Friday.
Yeah. For the following
Can
Friday.
you, great. Can you and you'll send the weekly wrap up to all of us just so I can see what's going out this Friday.
Absolutely. I always run everything by you.
Right.
Nothing goes out without the committee's approval. None of us are the
When-
Lone Ranger. And you're
when
all
does-
welcome to edit. You're all good editors. I
Oh,
really
sure.
have valued your editing and your proofreading and you're really good. I mean, this has been such a nice committee to work with because you all do edit stuff. You pay attention, you look at it, you think, how does that sound? Is it clear? So yeah, that's made it a joy. I mean, I don't mind doing a draft if I've got 4 other good people looking at it to polish it up. That's just great, I love it when a committee does that. And,
Marty, when does Naomi come back from her travels?
I'm not sure. She's got a bunch of things coming up, but she did say that she would be available for our April meeting. And our
Oh.
April meeting, the big job at that meeting is to officially vote to finalize the voter roll before we send it to Electech. So that's a big meeting in terms of the voter roll. And of course, we'll
Mhm.
have the candidates by that time. So
Okay.
hopefully. You're laughing, Mike Z. You're laughing. We will have
to address
candidates.
that write-in problem.
Yeah,
before
we may have that
get
that
to it.
write-in situation. It'll be a first time that we haven't had enough candidates. But write-ins can win, like personally
Hey,
can win even if we have 10 candidates who on the ballot. A
I
write-in
didn't
can still
realize I was
win a seat.
illegal though with the way Arthur came in.
Okay.
Okay.
Anything else from anybody? This has been a good meeting, good
Yeah.
discussion, and again, really good work by everybody. Logan, thank you again for your thoroughness and just being so careful and precise to document everything. That's exactly what we need. And
I just
we
have
need-
I have a quick question for Jack,
Sure.
just because I have you here, Jack. Do you happen to have software that does MBOX to PDF conversion?
I do not.
Okay, no worries. I'll figure
Right.
something else out for that.
I'll bet you can you if there's something that's gonna save you time, Marty, can he expense stuff if we approve it?
That's a great question. I think so.
I
I
assume
think
so.
so.
Okay.
And depending on how much it is, give us a price estimate, and I would, run it by Michael Silliman, obviously.
Mhm.
But yeah, if it's
I would-
something that you
yeah.
need for equipment, let us know how much it would cost.
Yeah, I'll look into it more. I've just never used it before. Basically, it's just to like put a bunch of emails together and turn that into a PDF. And that's what I was going to do for because I've gotten like 70 or so emails confirming residence. So
And we need to keep that record. That needs to be a
Yeah.
public record. That's part of our
Yeah.
documentation. So that would be useful for us. Absolutely. See how much it costs. Let me know.
I'll ask Michael. I mean, it's possible he already has that too. So
If he does,
Okay.
fine. And if not, tell him. I mean, I assume the committee agrees that that would be something useful. Is there anyone who objects to having that?
Yeah.
I see that these tools typically cost between 25 and $50. So I would say
I
just
think we can afford
do it.
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
okay.
All right, so-
Can we make a motion to pre-approve an
Yes,
expense
absolutely.
of
That's
up
the
to
way we should
$50?
proceed.
Up to 50 bucks.
Okay, I
sure.
assume that you're
Okay.
making the motion
I'm
to
making-
approve
I'm
the
making a motion.
expenditure. Is there a
Yeah.
second?
I'll third it.
A third it?
No one of these.
All right, all
Oh,
in
and-
favor of approving this per purchase, please say aye.
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 Okay, it's a purchase of software, is it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. For Logan.
I'll liaison with Michael and figure that out with him.
Okay.
Right.
And that way it can be like a Martin's Editions account for it. Yeah, there are a couple apps and stuff that let you do it. So anyway, great. Thank you guys.
That's terrific. I'm glad
Good
you brought
idea.
it up, and I'll let Michael know officially with an email tomorrow from the committee that we have approved that expenditure because that is very useful equipment. Okay, or very useful software. Great. Anything else that comes up like that? Obviously, get in touch with us. We want this to make this not only a challenging process, but one that's kind of fun and where you have the tools you need. So great that you asked that. Anything else from anybody else?
Well, Marty,
All
do we
right.
need to do committee assignments?
Yeah, committee assignments are as follows. Well, you want to run through them? You have them in front of you?
I have a few, but I don't know that this is complete. One is that you will send the 10-day notice,
I will
putting out
draft
a
the
10, yeah,
I will draft
to-
the 10-day notice. I will draft this Friday's weekly wrap up.
Yeah.
Jack will draft the Friday wrap up for the 13th.
right,
I will send the documents from last year per Mike Z's request. So I will send various documents from last year so that everybody will have that this week.
right. Then there was, you need to rent a post office box,
Rent a post office box.
and called, I don't know,
Logan will
Marty.
text people and do a little more follow-up and get back
Yeah.
to us with a list of the names of the people who we need to send letters to this week. Those official letters per the regs. So Logan has an
Yeah,
assignment to get
I've
back
got
to us.
Logan on for that. And then there was something else. We're all supposed to be available on March 21st in the
That evening.
evening.
Yep, that evening.
And that you will send this week, well, that's what you were already saying, the election information packets this week. These are samples, right?
the sample from last year of the info packet
Right,
and the sample from last year of the ballot packet, which
right.
includes the envelopes with that affidavit on the back.
Uh-huh. And you're also going to be sending the committee report for March 19th.
Yeah, I'll do a draft of that, and it will just be basically an administrative
Okay.
report.
All right.
We don't need to ask for council approval on anything. We basically
Mhm.
down in here in the nitty-gritty now, just carrying it out.
All right.
Thank you.
And I will volunteer to work on one of those other notices that needs to be done that hasn't been claimed for the
Okay, good. Thank you. You're a good writer.
Last
Thank you.
one,
standalone or the
the
20th,
last
whatever.
chance. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Right.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Okay.
Anything else?
I just sent
All
an
right.
email to Michael, just FYI, about the expense.
Yeah, I will send Michael the
Oh,
email
I
about
just
it.
sent one.
Oh, very good. Okay. Noting that the committee had approved it.
Yes.
Perfect. And you CC'd the committee on it?
I CC'd you and Logan.
Okay, CC the rest of the committee too. Thank you. Because the committee should be able to basically be included on everything. All 5 of us. And Alexa too, so make it 6, because Alexa should be kept in the loop.
Sure.
Anything else from anybody? I'm trying to adjourn by 9. It's 8:58.
Okay.
Yep. Okay. Nothing else from me.
Okay. Everybody good? Thank you for another efficient and productive meeting. You are a joy to work with, and carry on. Talk
you.
soon.
Thanks. Bye.
Good
Watch
night.
for the action items in your email.
Yeah.
When you get documents to look over.
Yeah.
Okay?
A motion to
Okay.
adjourn?
Motion to
Or-
adjourn. All in favor?
Second.
We've got a
Aye.
second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Bye.
Aye.